So that's fine. Martina's coming. Fantastic. So if you're not familiar with how we've done this in the past, it'll be the first part will be just intros. So get ready, think about what you're going to say, the best version of yourself. And for Laxman's he's gonna have even more time to think because there's a bit of a lag. And then we can introduce each other at the beginning, and then I can go through some updates on my end, some recent ones that just happened the past couple of days. So this is kind of timely in terms of kind of showcasing what's happening. I will tell you that my son is attending school over here. So every so often you're going to hear him shouting over other kids in his school. That will make for interesting background noise that'll happen on my end. So just to let you know. Right. So since I'm familiar with Laxman and Alyssa and Ken, Martina, you're the person that I have not met yet. And you can stay off camera. You don't need to be on camera. But what I like to do is if you're open to it, if you could introduce yourself to everyone else on the call. A very basic way of doing it is letting people, oh, there you are. Hey, that works too. Let people know what you're all about, where you're located at, and let's say what if the pandemic wasn't happening, what you would be doing this weekend. If you were pandemic free, like you're immune to everything for at least a weekend, what would you be doing?
Yeah, I'm located in Zurich, Switzerland. And what was your question? Sorry, I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the speed of getting you guys into the meeting.
That's okay. First, tell me, so you're located in Zurich, Switzerland. What do you currently do for a living? And I'll simplify it. Tell me where you're going on vacation when the pandemic is going to end.
Okay. So living in Zurich, Switzerland, or on the countryside, actually. I'm looking for a job at the moment. So I'm not having a full-time job. That's why I'm browsing the internet for interesting opportunities and applying and doing other stuff, educational trainings and so on. And what I would do the weekend is probably cross-country skiing if there's any snow left, because it had a couple of centimeters snow, but it was heavily raining the last 2 days. So there's hardly anything left. And vacation plans are cycling. So doing a tour, starting from home and ending up somewhere. We haven't decided yet which direction.
Because yeah, it's the same for us because we don't know when this thing is going to kind of lift to the point where we can actually feel like we can travel safely. It's always this thing where it's like, okay, do we go now? Do we go in September? Do we go in December? Like when exactly is there going to be the right time to do it? And you know, are the tickets that we're going to be getting, can we get refunds for them? So there's always this uncertainty that's happening right now with it, and it's kind of frustrating. Yeah. But what I am doing, Martina, is as people are introducing themselves, as a courtesy, I'm going to put their LinkedIn profiles in the chat. So beyond what you're seeing on the video and what Martina is telling you, you can also check out her profile and see what she's all about. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and by background, if there's anybody, what I normally do for a living is I've been in project management, in innovation management, in product management, product development. So this is a little bit my professional background, consumer goods industry.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad you jumped on the call. Hopefully this will be a good use of your time in terms of meeting other people that are part of GVDS or that are new to it. For reference, Martina was the very first person that signed up for GVDS this time around. So she's like participant number 1. I don't know if that has any kind of special like aspect to it, but I just want to let everybody know that she's first out the gate with everything.
I had to be number 2.
No pressure, I'm fine.
I can look it up, Ken, if you really want to know where you are in the ranking of things, but yeah. I want to turn to Micah, who's on the call as well. So for people who don't know, Micah Strudoff was part of GVDS 4. And the remarkable thing about her engagement is that event, we allowed people to put in their own challenges. Participants would be allowed to put in their own challenges that teams could adopt. And the unique thing about Micah's one is she had remote embedded education. This was that right when the pandemic was starting to grip everything. And there were over 15 challenges that people could choose from. And I think almost half of the teams for every week that we were doing the design sprint or the virtual design sprints chose this challenge. And I had to ask Micah if she could actually do an interview so we could do a subject matter expert interview on when it had happened. So Micah, I'm kind of teeing that up for you. You can let everybody know where you're coming in from and what you're currently doing. But I wanted to give context because I thought that was a remarkable event that had happened before.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Robert. And once again, you motivated me to come onto the call today because I received this wonderful email where I'm always thinking, wow, Robert, you are putting so much effort into making communication relevant and to catch the attention of the people. It's amazing. Yes, I've been on GVDS 4, and it was only kind of for me kind of like a training, or I wanted to learn more about design sprints. And then I had this little frustration at home with homeschooling and my kids, and I wrote this challenge, and then I was embarked on a real roller coaster on the GVDS 4, and I still keep on talking to other people saying, well, this was a really, really great experience. It has shown me what is possible remote with communities, with people from all over the world, working together really, really efficiently and effectively if you have kind of the frame of a good process set up. So that's great. So I wasn't able to participate in number 5 because I just moved. I used to live in France, in Paris. I'm now based in Berlin. This wasn't planned. It just happened on short notice. So now I'm here. And I hope to be part of number 6. I'm working in innovation, so I'm an independent consultant, coach, or facilitator, name it as you like. My key aim is to break up with old systems that are not working anymore and to bring teams to new ways of working and doing things differently that are more effective in these times, or nowadays, or in the digital era, or in the new normal, call it whatever you want. And so design sprints are definitely part of it, and remote design sprints all of a sudden became a really, really relevant
in a quick way, in a very, very fast way. It was amazing how fast that happened last year. It's like the calls are coming in February going, we're traditionally in person. We have to go remote. We have no idea how to get this done. Can you help us? And I was like, sure. And it kept on coming. So it was just one of those weird dynamics where if you're in the virtual space or getting into it, there was just so much frenetic activity around that topic. What I'm curious about, Micah, though, is that now we're going to February of 2021. What are some of the conversations you're having with some of your clients? Like, what are they interested in? Is it similar to what was last year, or how has the conversation changed?
The conversations have changed. That I think 1 year ago it was much more experimental. There was budget available to explore the future and let's see how we can innovate and do different things. But well, whether it'll have an immediate impact or whatever. So there's much more focus nowadays. So the fast-moving environment is changing, and now we need to get stuff working because of the changed situation. And actually, this is still the case with education. So I'm a bit disappointed that 1 year later we've learned a lot, but we are still, in many cases, we're still not where we could be.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think there's been improvements, and that's been through the practical application and use of things like Zoom or the Google Meet, and how like even my own educators here with my son have been slowly understanding how to use the tools, but also being able to deploy them. So I agree. We should be farther along, but old habits are really hard to break in that regard, I think. Yep. So I'll ask you the same question. I'll pay for your vacation like hypothetically, where are you going to be going once this pandemic is done? And I'm not going to ask you that question, Ken, because I've asked you like 3 or 4 times in introduction. So I already know, I have a list, so I'm not going to do that. But Micah, I haven't heard from you yet. Where are you going on vacation?
Well, what I find really interesting is this new perspective on vacation. So now that we have lockdowns and you can't physically move elsewhere anymore, vacation providers are rethinking, by the way, what's the real problem we're solving or the real need we're after when people go on to vacation. What I find really interesting is to say, well, how can I do an inner journey? How can I do a journey without doing a journey? So I will, even after lifting all the restrictions, it's, for me, it's more about inner journeys maybe at the moment.
It may come down to people in hazmat suits with Google like VR goggles, so that you can walk around with them and instruct them to go to different places. If they're really isolated in the house, can't move, you have somebody that's completely like environment, like kind of protected, so that they can go where you need to. That may be a possibility, but yeah, it may be just looking inward. Who knows? Kind of see where it goes. But I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you again. It's been a while since I've seen you from last year, so hopefully you're doing really well.
Yeah, good to see you, and I hope I will be there more often after having moved and solved all my basic issues of where am I going to live, what am I going to do with my kids.
It looks like at least everything from the camera looks like it's all set, so I'll just assume that's the case and kind of go from there. Ken, on the other hand, looks like he's very much like used to the outdoors. This is the first time I've actually seen you with an outdoor shot that does that, where there's like a background, there's trees in there. Usually I see you in like your basement office or like in a room where there's like kind of like whiteboards and other things in the background, at least historically. So Ken, what's happening with you? And if you could introduce yourself to everyone like I'm doing, if you're interested, I'm putting everyone, as I'm introducing them, their LinkedIn profile in the chat. So if you've never met them before or never heard of them, you can check them out in terms of their professional background, and then you get to meet them here. So Ken, what's going on with you?
Thanks, Robert. I think I know almost everyone here, and have worked with most of you on a team or had conversations. Hello, Benno. Hello, Lisa. And Mike and I have had conversations in the past. I'm up here because being at home, I have to share my home office because it's also part gym. And since my kids are at home now and they need to stay active, so when I have a call at a certain time of day, I have to basically come up to the house so that they can get their work in. What's up with me? Not much more than usual. Looking forward to version 6 of GVDS. And I note that some folks here are also over at the SVDT Lisa thing that's going on that we're participating in. So thank you, Robert, for that link, because I signed up for that and I'm getting a lot out of that.
Good.
And as far as what I'm working on, the same stuff. I'm mostly doing work consulting for higher education, which is undergoing a lot of turbulence at the moment. So that's been kind of a challenge for them, but they're still very open to the kinds of things that can be gained from design thinking and a sprint mindset, because they're dealing with, like I said, a lot of turbulence, budget cutting, staff reductions, and a changing market. So it's actually a good time to have these conversations with people. So
I can imagine on the university side of things, their entire business model is upended because it involves like physical engagement and kind of being in front of people to learn. And even in a virtual model, then the cost and gets in question with students. It's like, why am I paying this much tuition to basically go to this class when realistically, it doesn't make sense. I'm not putting the same type of time and resource investment to it. So I can imagine those conversations are pretty rough.
Yeah, and it's compounded by the fact that just prior to this, there were a few changes that were made in the whole college recruiting process. You know, it's a longer conversation, but for years, they've all, colleges and universities have had this understood compact with each other that they would not compete with each other to a great degree. And the Justice Department decided a couple of years ago, you know what, this sounds like collusion, so we're going to step in and change the environment. So now they're all competing much more aggressively with each other. And so that's changed their landscape, and that's changed how they have to market themselves and what the expectations are for not only for themselves and their competition, but parents and students. So it's just, this all happened in the same 2-year period. And it's, for a lot of them, it's terrifying, but for some others, it's exciting.
Cool. And I have to ask, when you said that you're basically relocated because your kids had to do exercise, do you have some sort of like, what's actually happening? Is it like wrestling? Is it MMA fighting? I mean, what are they doing? Or is it just basically running around and kind of like, kind of having fun?
No, like I said, my office is the other side of the space is the home gym. So they're in there. My son actually is a pretty active cross trainer, weightlifter type, which I don't get, but that's what he does. And he, when he was in school, he used to spend 2.5 hours every day in the university gym. And that ended. And so he, in order to keep up, he has to, he works out twice a day, every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
He probably consumes podcasts like nobody else's business if he's looking to work out and kind of take all that in.
I don't know how he does it. They're both in college right now, and they're both at home. So they have that experience also.
Yep. All right. Well, glad you're here, Ken. Glad everything's going all right. I'm going to bring in Alyssa, who is one of the first people that kind of dialed in. I'll put her link into the chat. So Alyssa, you were part of GVDS number 5, and that's where we first met you. I heard a lot about you even before that event came in, about what you were doing and what you're all about. We're having conversations about open innovation challenges because that's something I'm focusing on for this event. And you've had a lot of experience with that. So there's a couple of things that I'll be kind of coming back around to you once I have some more information. But I think, that's kind of an introduction from Alyssa from my standpoint. But why don't you go ahead and speak your own words rather than having me do all of that.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I participated in the GVDS, and it was an amazing experience that changed my way of looking at the world and the kind of connection I could build with an international network. So it was truly amazing experience. I'm an organizational psychologist, and I got passionate about design thinking. So I worked as an innovation coach, design thinking facilitator on a lot of open innovation challenges. So I was involved with schools and companies at the same time. And I am based in Trento, a small city in the north of Italy. And I am participating in a research project, but yesterday I gave my resignations because I got a new offer in London. And so that's my new adventure that will start on the beginning of March. It's risky, but we will see where it will go. And these days, other things that I'm doing, I'm experimenting new tools like Lunch Club. I don't know if you have ever tried it. It's a random assignment of meeting people. And I'm not on Clubhouse because I don't have an iPhone. So that's me right now. And I'm very happy to connect with all of you.
So congratulations on the new position. I like to know, like, what's the high level in terms of like what they're asking you to do? What are the chief things that you're going to be doing?
I'm going to be a design thinking coach and facilitator. First, I will work as a freelancer from here. So I will be staying in Italy. And then when I get the visa, hoping that I will get a visa, I will move there and become an employee, hopefully. So
You know
it's
what,
risky, but it's interesting.
I am doing this thing in GVDS 6 called the featured facilitator, so that actually I can spotlight particular facilitators that want to, you know, potentially
Help
like
out.
market themselves, put their name on the map, you know, just saying there could be something there.
You know that I'm always available. I think I'm gonna start working during the night, but yes, I'm available.
Don't do that. No, I mean, don't let from a lifelong insomniac. Do not go down that path. Value your health and a regular sleep pattern, please. Don't follow that path at
Yeah,
all. But
I also become a horrible person if I don't sleep 7 hours at least. So it's better not to.
I just say things I regret. That's all it is. It's just like I just hope that there's like a slip that I do with 5.5 hours of sleep. I just hope that no one remembers. It's like even it's recorded, they're just gonna be like, oh, nothing. I don't really care about that. Just whatever. So good. I'm glad that things are looking up for you and that you have new exciting things to look forward to. And I'm going to check the email that you sent later on, figure out where that's going. And also just to kind of drop a little dime. I did interview Alyssa for a podcast, and that's going to be coming out next week. Alyssa, I was going to tell you. So I've got it 85% done. I just have to clip out all the crap that I've been talking about at the end, and then it'll be.
Yeah, I was not at my best, but
you were fine. No. It was fine. It was me just kind of going, and I got to get that out of there. So that's will be coming up too. And again, I linked to Alyssa's link in the chat if you want to check that out. So good to see you, Alyssa. And I'm sure we're going to talk more in the future. Laxman is someone that's been with the GVDS for a while also. Now, the thing to know about Laxman is that you're going to notice that he's going to take his time to respond to whatever I'm talking about because he's a very thoughtful person, very introspective. He was somebody very caring too. Yes, even my son's getting in on this. He was somebody that I remember on the teams that he participated with was someone that was very complimentary, very accommodating, and collaborated well. So while I answer my son's question, Laxman, why don't you give yourself an introduction to everybody here, where you're from, and what you're all about?
Thank you, Robert, for this detailed, elaborate, warm introduction of mine. Hi, everyone. This is Lakshman here. I am logging in from Pune, India, which is almost 100 kilometers away from Mumbai, the financial capital of India. Prior to getting into the space of consulting, I was an ex-technology software developer till 2012. And then I moved in the space of customer experience and process innovation consulting. Of late, for the last 4 years, I am moved from that into the space of Lego serious play and game-based change or game-based learning intervention. So all that I'm doing is trying to understand problem areas, trying to understand audience, and then create a small game around it, facilitate game-based intervention for change of learning. That's all about me.
So what's been happening with you lately, Laxman, since I last talked to you in the last event? I mean, what have you been spending your time with, and what are you looking forward to doing in the coming months? Like, what's on your plate?
Okay. I'll just pick up on what Mike spoke about, the inner journey. So because of COVID, I've been part of a small cohort, which is an 40-week cohort on inner work through yoga, which is looking at an inner journey based on the Yoga Sutra texts of the Indian civilization. And of late, in the last 2 months post GVDS 5, I am keen in looking at two things. One is a blended learning module for kids and students. I may come back to again Mike for that later on. And I'm also in the space of play testing a diversity inclusion game that I designed, and it's almost ready since 1.5 years, and it was back there in the shelf gathering dust. So I've just picked it up again and started play testing it and refining it more. So in the next few months, I'm just planning to refine playtest and finalize this particular game. And as of now, that's just on the board till the time the businesses start opening up, which would take 3-4 months more. And I'm still skeptical because that would be around April or May. I don't know if I would have time or not. And that's keeping me off the hook from thinking about GVDS 6.
Understood. One thing to know is that on the YouTube channel for the Dallas Design Sprints, we had some recordings. One, I think, was an interview with Micah on the remote and blended learning topic and where they originated from. But I'm certain that there's at least one showcase where a team went through their solution in terms of what they had done in this space and in terms of context. You may have seen it already, but in case you haven't, I can search for the link, and during the next introduction, I'll send it to you so that you have that reference. The other thing to know is that with there's going to be an added dimension to the challenges that participants can submit. So before, we just ask for vision, mission, success criteria, outcomes, basically within the confines of like a sprint or now a prototype. What I'm also going to be asking for is like, if this thing is 100% successful, think about what the flight plan would be for next steps. Would you want to get a different group together to think about execution? And this is just assuming that all things go the way they are, but it's to think early ahead of time and like, where do you go once the event is over, and what would the steps be? What would you ideally like to do? So if people sign up for it, they can kind of get a feeling for your vision around where you think it's going, and that the whole team may not be with you at the end, but if there's just like one or two that want to continue the conversation and then it changes into something else, that's the intent. So that it's not just sitting on a shelf and it's a nice kind of exploration of the problem. It's where could we potentially go with things based on what you're hooked into, what networks, communities, what particular person would want to know about this. And you can think about that in advance, so that if things start looking really good and that the team's really excited about what you're doing, there's that, okay, let's look back on the brief and say, okay, does this still make sense to do? And kind of go from there. This is outside the open innovation challenges if there's not already something in place. Cool. All right. I was going to say that there's that introspection. I didn't want to interrupt it if you were going to think about your response before you started. But okay, so let's see. I think the best place to go next is Benno Lohenberg, someone that has it. I mean, there's so many things to tell about you, Benno, that it's just I could spend like 5 minutes and spend more time than I need to. But I can tell you that so my experience with him is that he has his own logo. That's the lion. The blue line is always the thing that I think about when it's your presentations. I actually engaged with him early before the last GVDS around his work on remote sprints. And a lot of what he was putting in his presentations that he was doing at conferences intuitively made sense to me. Like I was like, that is exactly where I want to go with it eventually, or that what seems to go in that direction. So I knew it was somebody who just could put really complex thought and put it into a practical way of kind of communicating. And then when he went to the GVDS, the interesting thing is that he would bring out these things like, if you want mangoes, if you want really good mangoes, this is what you want. So these moments that with Benno, that if you're on the same team, he would kind of bring those things into the mix. So that's what I remember most about him, beyond like a lot of what other people have said on his team. So with that, and Natasha, nice to see you. Bye. If you saw this recording later, she left before she could actually go in. Why don't you give yourself an introduction in terms of what you're all about, what you're doing? And I would be really curious, more than anything, is what you have coming up in the next 2 or 3 months. Because usually it's something interesting, but I want to make sure I put that out there and ask before you start talking and letting us know what you're all about.
Thank you for that introduction. The mic is working? Okay, can you hear me? Because I just came in. I'm still in my hiking gear because I just was for a hike with a friend I have not seen for a long time. I'm a bit dizzy because I just visit friends as far as pandemic conditions allow, like with 2 meters distance. So we meet in the outsides, and just with each and everybody, I celebrate New Year's Eve by drinking a bottle of champagne. So I'm still feeling a bit relief from that and being in the nature. So I'm right now I just came in. I still have my muddy hiking shoes on because I didn't want to miss it.
So here's my vision, Benno, is that you actually were hiking while having champagne, like at your belt with a little like flip up top.
In the rucksack.
In the rucksack while you were walking, and that you're actually in a mountainside somewhere. So you're in a place where it has sketchy internet connection, very little light, but you made it to the community of practice just in time to basically tell us.
The sketchy internet connection is something typical for all over Germany, since we are a digital developing country. But you know, it is my actual place here, and I have not put any light in here because I'm always, it's my work, my office. I'm always staring at the screen. Meanwhile, I also stepped up the game in terms of screens because GVDS 5 and what we talked about. So I now have a 55-inch touchscreen, blackboard, whiteboard screen for mural in life size.
Wow.
And yeah, this came out of the GVDS Slack. Oh, needed bigger screen for mural. Okay, and then somehow I ended up with that one. And I'm constantly bragging with this while working with my current main client, which is one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies. I was working already with them during GVDS 5. That was the reason why I hardly had any time. And so that's Merck MSD, who are also working on cure, on a therapeutic for COVID-19. It is the main task I'm in is to help the teams and the members in the company to grow into a customer-oriented mindset. So the company, as all bigger companies, is using the established combination of design thinking and lean startup, or any other combination, for sure relabeling it because it's our new innovative thing. But to make it work and to help the members of the company to grow into that mindset. This is what I'm very much trying to help with my others members. We are in the area of customer experience, so marketing like it is meant to be today, like offering value rather than just shouting out buy our stuff. And this is a big change in thinking for the people. So they always are product focused and directly selling units of medicine. And to offer service or something alongside with the products, or thinking of what can be of use for the GP or for the patient or whatever, that makes them, it turns us into a valuable partner for them. And so it is GVDS 5, apart from having the big joy of working with Lakshman, with Ken, with Elisa, and some other really brilliant people, sparked also ideas on how to make the methodology, the big methodology part that is there, more digestible, more applicable for people. And at the same time, get them accustomed to remote working, remote workshopping. The first part succeeded, and I even came up with a template system inside of Mural, which is a tool in itself, a tool in Mural itself. That is based, I drew a lot from what I learned, apart from how to work with the Dash and the design sprint in a remote way. Also on how to build good mural boards that can help facilitate the facilitation or the participation, and also to a lot of practical tricks or approaches to help, because you can't read the room, to more intensively work with the people. So there's a lot of stuff on several levels. I drew a lot from GVDS 5 and could directly implement it into my work. So I'm right now, they are all showing off with the stuff I did in Mural. And now I'm under pressure to come up with more, because we want to do it and turn it into a bigger system that is to rolled out worldwide in MSD Merck, and to make it also to make it a means to helping the people to grow into the customer mindset. And so I'm curious, in GVDS 6, I just recognized I haven't registered until right. I'm still not registered.
Doesn't matter. It's fine.
Oh my God. Bad boy. To look for aspects that help facilitators allowing or aiding the participants or co-workers to get more accustomed in this, because we don't innovation without knowing what the end will be, what the results will be. To help to grow into that mindset, while with the help of ways of working while being remote. I know that's a very complicated sentence because I just formulated on my tongue. Sorry, but I hope I could get it what I'm looking for and what my head is wrapped around right now.
Yeah.
So helping innovation to actually work because it's based on the people.
What you're attempting to do, to me, from after listening to that, sounds like you're trying to change culture, and that's a huge challenge.
No, I'm not trying to change the culture. I'm trying to help supporting the culture in a meaningful way, that the members of the company have a possibility to grow into it, to have shoehorn might be the wrong way to turn it, to help them develop an idea that of this different changing and to get accustomed to it. So maybe also the tooling is kind of a maybe Trojan horse to that, or a saddle or whatever.
So would you consider like kind of almost like a reframing, or at least a different engagement model where they just have to make a shift versus like an actual change?
Yeah.
Okay, so my mistake. I just used the wrong language.
No, it's perfectly fine.
So interesting.
It's still in the making, so it's not very clear right now. That's where we are really right now trying to get our heads around. So this is something still not defined, but this is the process I'm in right now.
So Alyssa commented organizational design with an ASCII heart. So I'm doing something not like what you're doing. What you're doing is like leaps and bounds. What I'm attempting to do is something different, is with the virtual facilitator, and that it's going to be like the culmination of everything I've been trying to do with education around the design aspects of virtual design sprinting, where I think I'm going to go, or I'm thinking about going with someone like Podia, where inside the GVDS, there's a laundry list of videos that literally go from like, okay, here's the base process that everyone knows from the book, so that there's a direct application from, like, say, the Blue Book. Then there's the step down with virtual design sprints and how that translates into it. And it's more the GVDS style, kind of like, okay, this is what this just tends to happen in this sequence with all new templates and everything. The third would be how I approach it. So my variations on the style of how this goes, and what your options are, like for ideation or for preparation or doing jobs to be done in prototyping, whatever it may be. The fourth pillar is where I bring in people that have been with the GVDS or they're introduced to it, where they give their take, their approach on how they do it, but in a way it's a promotional vehicle for them. So for example, if people have a completely different way of problem framing that's unique to them, their style, they own it. The idea is that particular video says, hi, I am so-and-so and I work at this thing. Here's my approach to kind of going about doing things. And it would have the example, show it to them. You can do the exercise. And at the end, it's like, if you want to know more, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can look for me in the GVDS, or, if you're part of it. And then anything else you want to promote or link to, so that beyond them learning on all the different strata of what is possible, there's an outlet for people that are in this event to say, here's my unique take on it based on my background, and here's how I approach it. And it doesn't have to be completely prescriptive, but it gives people more exposure to what they're doing. You can take that bit out of that and use it for your own social media purposes to promote what you know after it's been finished or worked on. And so it's another value add for people that get involved with this, where it does exactly where I'm trying to showcase the thinking around the people that come to this. And it's not necessarily just they're part of it in a black box and you don't know what happens.
Cool. Really cool.
So in February or March, for some of the things that you're doing within Merck, are there engagements that you're going to be doing on the conference level? Anything you're going to be speaking about that you want to say?
I actually don't know yet, because we just have gone through a restructure for sure. That's always something which is done. And so right now, the silos have just been reorganized and labeled. I don't know yet. So
okay.
Since it's insecure, I don't want to Versprechen. Oh, too many. I'm just lacking somehow my English capability is somehow down to the battery. English capability battery is somehow down right now. I don't want to promise something that I'm not sure that I can deliver. But as soon as I can see that there's something feasible, possible, I will tell you.
You can always start some rumors, and it's just going to be in the call. So you don't have to commit to anything. You just start something that we may want to consider, like, but otherwise you can keep it on the down low and don't say anything. Just say it's coming. You just have to wait till it happens.
Yeah, just create some upfront social media buzz. Yes, sure.
Yeah. Benno said this, and put in there. So yeah.
Great. No, I'm
all right,
also really curious just to learn more about the Dash, since we have seen some progress, some struggle, and while actually working with it, what actually was really highly interesting, and I'm also looking forward to see what happens with that and what we can do with that.
So I can tell you really fast, the Dash has now gone through 3 client engagements, actual paying clients, and it changed the format of it a lot. And Ken, you have a lot to do with this, because the comments you made when you looked at it saying this doesn't feel very fast or very versatile or very modular when we were going through it. Now, those comments actually started a roller coaster around, well, how can we pare this down and still get the essence of going fast through a prototyping process, but still get design thinking involved with it. And when I went through these 3 engagements, the one that I'm going to be doing, the GVDS, may alter a little bit, but it's pretty compact. It doesn't have a lot of the fluff that was there last time, exploring design sprint or design thinking, but it does engage like jobs to be done. It does engage other kind of exploratory options before you even get involved with it. And the instruction set is much easier. So when this comes around and you start seeing the actual virtual facilitator for that bit, it's going to look different, but it's going to be something where you're going to see yourself just basically doing 2 days worth of work at most. And then the rest of it is just basically doing the experimentation as kind of outlined. So yeah, it's well beyond where it was before. But good to see you, Benno, and stay there, relax, don't move really fast, enjoy and just enjoy the rest of the conversation that happens. Schumann, are you there? I know you've been waiting patiently as we've been kind of having conversations, but are you out there? Or are you, wait, there you are.
I'm here.
Okay. So Schumann, and I'll go ahead and go back into chat. Where's my chat window? Did I close it already? Hey, where did it go? There it is. All right. So the thing that I can tell you about Schumann is she was previously, were you in GVDS 4, correct? That was where you were in 3 and 4 or just 4?
4, just 4.
Okay. So she was part of probably the apex of the event where that was during the pandemic where we were doing everything COVID-19 related. But I think we've had some conversations in the past about design sprints even before that. Schumann was, how many design sprints did you do in GVDS 4? Was it just 1 or were you on a couple of teams?
I just done 2. Because
that's right.
The second one, there's some problem of communication. So I didn't have time to participate in, because due to the schedule and also some misalignment of the team. So eventually, I think the second week we didn't deliver anything.
Yeah, it was 4 was a weird beast, because there were some teams that were just like in flight speed, and other times it was like they felt like the stop and go motion with all the sprints we were doing. Luckily with 5 we changed that model, so it was just 1 sprint, but it was a lot of preparation and then figuring out how you were going to execute. So yeah, I remember that. The thing to know about Schumann is that through and through she's UX and UI with a lot of integration into Agile and like business models and kind of understanding how business works. But you were foundational for your team in terms of like the visuals and kind of understanding the integration of how users were going about. So beyond that short introduction, why don't you let everyone on the call know what you're all about, what you currently are planning on doing for the upcoming year. And if, again, I'll do the vacation question since I haven't asked you. Pandemic's done. I'm footing the bill. Where are you going on vacation? So let's start with first for the introduction. You can think about the vacation in the background.
Okay, so now I'm based in Paris always, and I was at first I was planning to participate in GVDS 5, but like Malik, I'm moving to, but I'm still in Paris, but just moving to another area. So I was busy, and after I was always busy from, because in my company it's a B2B ERP software, the product I'm working right now, and they one product I was working, it's a very complex on-premises software, so they plan to move to cloud. So that's why I was really working really hard from I think the last May till now, working on the new product. They didn't. I think they will release this May. It's a product on the manufacturing, and at the same time, in this kind of company, it's kind of challenging because all these people are developers and technical driven company, so it's difficult to tell them what is user experience. Even though my company is pushing I think Benno just said customer first. My company's vision is to be a great SaaS company, but it's a long way to go for this kind of my company, because they always pushing to deliver product and new features. So it's difficult to deliver, but at the same time to educate, evangelize also to many stakeholders in the company. Okay, we need time to do user research and also do some workshop together. But I think that's why I'm joining to learn GVDS to be a facilitator, because we need some education skills to push things move forward. And after that, the vacation I want to the country I want to visit, it's my hometown, it's Taiwan. I was really want to go back to visit my family there. So
cool. Well, I hope you get to Taiwan one way or another. I don't know if I can fund it, but if it does come up, we can always have a conversation. So I can comment on the evangelizing of UX, because I've walked this walk so many times, especially about trying to showcase what is an optimal user experience and how that kind of blends into product and services, and being able to have those conversations that are meaningful and also speak to some of the questions you have about metrics, about showing the value, how competitive it is, how is it going to perform in the marketplace. And especially if you're like only a small team of UXers that handle a lot of different projects, it's really hard to do, because there's no time for the strategy and the evangelization if you're always kind of heads down, kind of getting that stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. Always to plan the spring deliver.
Yep. Because once it's like back in October, I had a lot of people tell me I would love to join, but I am slammed. Like, they're trying to get everything out the door before the holidays happen. They were working like weekends because they were trying to catch up from like the pause of the pandemic in the early part of the year, and they still have to get things done for launch in 2021 and what they were going to do for the flight plan then. So totally understand. But yeah, this is around the time, January, February, where you're starting to get the workload, an idea of what you need to deliver by April, May, and it can be it's one of those things where you kind of try to do both and kind of walk and chew gum at the same time. And it can be really difficult, especially if you're a UXer and you have a large amount of work or internal clients that you're trying to serve.
Yeah.
So I know about that.
And especially we are not like 2 or 3 people of the UX designer, but I think we have more than 100 developers. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Not surprising, but that's usually the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's difficult to control the quality and also control the developers. And at the same time,
take what you do in the design field and have it translate in development so that what you see in like the design composites actually works in the dev, because you lose the compromise that they have to do with the system or with the systems they have to kind of connect with. There's all these like handshakes and kind of compromises that happen that design doesn't have access to sometimes. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And also at the same time, we have to convince like product manager and also business analyst to redirect to the user ways, not really focus on the technical.
Yeah. They're just looking for the results. So I get that. I get it. So Schumann's profile is again, it's in the chat over here in Zoom. I won't put him on YouTube just because Raul's there. Raul's a person that was from GVDS 3 or 4, I can't remember which, but he usually hangs out there. And I don't want to necessarily publish LinkedIn profiles on that platform. I'll just keep it within here with people that are on the call. I think the only person I haven't introduced yet is Gia. Gia is someone that's been with GVDS for a long time. And by the way, very good to see you, Schumann. I was wondering how you were and what you were up to. So I hope you do make it to Taiwan sometime. Gia has been someone that's been a mainstay in the events that we've been putting on ever since, God, I remember what the first one was. It's just like, it's always been like, hey, how's it going, everyone? So Gia's usually been the one that's been right there on the call, talking with everyone. Kind of what I think the phrase is like, she brings in sunshine to the group and kind of like making sure that everyone's kind of on the same page. So Gia, why don't you give yourself an introduction to who you are and what you're all about?
Hi, well, I'm happy to see all the familiar faces. I think I've worked with almost everyone on the call, except 1 or 2. So yeah, I'm from Portugal, based in Switzerland, working as product manager and trying every day to implement what we learned here in design thinking and design sprint. And I've been really loving the community since the beginning with all that I've been learning and able to experiment. My passion project is trying to apply design thinking and design sprint to teenagers. That has been my passion project. Also another one that came out from the last GVDS that Benno was a part of, and Laxman, working on how we could help teachers use design sprint methodologies to enhance the way that they convey their conventional curricula. So that's definitely my passion project, something that I have started working on also with a colleague from Brazil, and hopefully throughout 2021, it will be implemented and it will go live. That is going to be my goal for 2021.
I remember we did something similar in GVDS 5 about, I think it was the bonobo. We just called it that. It was we were exploring that space too, about the design thinking workshops and stuff. And people were actually paying for those. We tried the experiment of people just paying $59 up front, and basically they would get a schedule and when they were going to be part in June. And not only do we get emails, we actually had people purchasing. So I really hope that what you're going to be doing with this is something that you can test in the market soon to see what people are going to react to it and where they're going to go with things.
That's the whole idea. I will use this to implement what we've been learning also with the prototyping community. Mm-hmm. So this is just really going to be testing ground, just really trying it out, really with the whole spirit of experimenting and see where it leads.
Yeah, and maybe that's a good. So again, I'll forego the vacation question because I know I've asked you several times where you're going to go. There's multiple places. I remember Yasir was the
still continues.
Yeah, Yasser was the person, and there's somebody else from GVDS who decided, you know what, I'm not just going to do one place, I'm going to do 4. So he was going to do a tour, and I remember you were part of that. You said, oh, I'm going to go beach, I'm going to go this, and so I remember that.
Yeah.
So is there anything particular in the coming months that you're going to be involved with that would be interesting to know? Or is it pretty much business as usual for you?
The project that I really want to do with a place for teenagers and teachers, a platform that they both can actually do design sprints on one hand for children and ongoing, that as soon as they have a group, they can try, do their challenge and explore. So a continuation, an extension of what I did last year with the rest of the team for Teenagers for Change. And I will be, and also with the layer for teachers. Other than that, I'll be participating in Teenagers in AI, where we will be doing hackathons, teaching teenagers to use design sprint and design thinking methodologies to develop small AI projects to give them a taste.
If you have any links, put them up in the chat so I can take a look at them as well.
Okay.
One thing I'm going to...
We'll be starting this week, but I'll definitely be sharing.
When you do, when it's there, definitely put it there. In fact, I'm going to put in, for those who aren't there yet, there's a community link for the community of practice, which is the foundation for why I'm doing these kind of monthly engagements. I will tell you that so to close out this call, I'll give you a preview of what's to come for February that I know of that's going to be happening. So there's going to be a Snap Camera event next week that I'm going to be putting up for consideration. And that's for people who have never used Snap Camera before. We're going to just do an open-ended, fun networking thing where we're going to have a mural where people can put their information and what they're doing, but just going to have people try out Snap Camera and put as many people as we can on a Zoom call or Meetbutter. We're not sure which one we're going to do. I think Zoom probably better because Meetbutter still kind of has some problems with it. And just to kind of see who comes to it and see what happens. There's also a couple of new applications. One of them is called SuperPeer, and SuperPeer is a new kind of service where people can put in their services, consulting services, and I'm going to do a live walkthrough of that. So I'm registered, but I haven't gone through the profile and filled it all in. So this is a way of kind of showcasing for people that are their own small business, how they can promote themselves. This is something that's kind of, I talked with somebody on a podcast recording that told me that if I didn't have something like this up in my service, I was nuts. Also, there's a possibility of doing one for a round. But again, we're going to work out the dates for those. And the other thing to say is that I made a commitment to be open-ended about the development I'm doing for all of the GVDS kind of engagements. So next week is where the virtual facilitator work is going to start coming. You're going to see a kind of a structure similar to what I did with GVDS 5 in terms of what the videos are going to be, a little bit more detail around the feature facilitator option, maybe some more progress on the open innovation challenges as they happen. But if there's anything that all of the people are here on the call that want to see as an event or consider for next time, rather than looking at a mural and doing it that way, feel free to go into the events or to the general of the COP link that I put in there and put in your ideas around what kind of events you'd like to do. You can either host them yourself or depending on where you are in the world. So if there's something that's Asia Pacific, that's not necessarily friendly to US time. We just did one with Iva about Wonder that went pretty well. You can always do that, and then we can just use the mechanisms within the GVDS to kind of promote that. So if you do have ideas, you can put them in the community practice and I'll work with you on them. Otherwise, there's things on the books for applications that are coming up. Those events should all be out probably by Monday at the latest, so you can consider them with your own kind of schedule. If there's anything you want to see, do put that in the community practice, because I'll key off that, or at least be able to coordinate with you in the month of February. Beyond that, we're at time. Unless anybody has any other comments that they want to make or any other shout outs, we can do a group photo to memorialize everything, and we can kind of go from there. Huh? You done? I can't catch that. Yeah, okay, that's all right. All right, we don't have anything else. Let's see here. What can we do for January for a new year? Should we just all look like we're being thoughtful and just do it that way? Like put your thoughtful face on? Okay, let's do that. Uh-oh, Christine. Christine is coming in now?
State anyway.
I say natural state all the time. Christine, you're coming in right when we're leaving. What happened? Hey, Christine.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm good. We were just about to do a group photo and close everything out. Do you want to be part of this?
Sure. Let me put on my special Zoom camera.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a little bit. And everybody can think of their pose. Do I do this side towards the sun? Do I do this side where I'm in the shade? How do I want to look like I'm being thoughtful? Do I look up? Do I go like
I really
this?
can't get used to this idea of always being Zoom ready. It's like it takes away from the whole benefit of working from home.
It's true, but this is only, it's only just for this. So there you go. Yeah, the custom background. So Christine, basically it's all about, you're supposed to give yourself a thoughtful look, and that's going to be the group shot that we'll use for this. Is kind of like the end of it. So, and also like I usually do, I'll post the recording so that you can check it out in case you missed anything. So think of your thoughtful pose. And I think I'm going to go like this, like I'm almost philosophical, and I'll do it on the count of 3. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much for coming. Christine, I can hang out with you for a little bit because you just arrived, so that we're not all going to collapse. But if you do have other things to get to, it's the top of the hour. And if you have other things practicing, like you got to go to sleep, please wave. You can head out, and we'll hopefully see you next month. Just go to the community practice. Make sure you're there, because that's where all the action is going to happen this month. Okay?
Bye, everyone.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye.
So Christine, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing not bad for a Friday. I think I got everything done I wanted to do this week, and it was a medium kind of like a lightweight work, maybe a medium work. But then next week is where I kind of decided, okay, I'm going to make 5 buffets, and I'm going to kind of get all that stuff done. So I'm giving myself a challenge at the same time that I'm hopeful that everything will get done as it's kind of planned. But
nice. Perfect.
how was everything with you?
Good. I actually am doing that Silicon Valley design thinking thing that you recommended to people in one of your many voluminous catching up emails, the Lisa cohort. It's hard.
Yeah.
There's so much information that it's sometimes it's hard to be like, because you know so much and you transmit so much that sometimes you're just like, ooh, oh, okay, something interesting for me. So I'm doing that with Ken and a couple of other people.
Good.
So
yeah, and I'll be honest, sometimes all of that sharing is because I know I want to, but it gets stuck in my head or a notepad or like a list. So that's literally a dumping off saying, okay, now it's done. And
right.
It's the same thing with the social media during the day. It's like, as long as it's out of the way, then I have a clear head and I can just concentrate on what's happening right now. So yeah, but I'm glad that came together, especially with being able to kind of meet and kind of be able to work with one another. So hopefully that's something that's very
yeah, there's a strong Nora's in it too. There's a strong I don't know if other people have spoken to you about it, but there's a strong GVDS component to it. I mean, I feel a little bit like an imposter because I'm not as experienced a facilitator as a lot of the people that have, that are in your community, but I aspire to be. I'm more of a day-to-day like UX researcher and designer, but I try to do workshops whenever I possibly can. So I'm not as experienced as the other folks, but
the good thing is that you don't need to be. Part of this whole entire construct is that you can absorb and learn and observe and kind of engage where it makes sense for you to do so. So there's no kind of, okay, you need to be at this bar in order to be able to facilitate a team.
Right.
The notion is that at least with the 6th one that we're doing, there's going to be a virtual facilitator aspect to it. So it's going to be, I was just explaining, it's 4 tiers. It's the blue book, kind of like, okay, just explaining what they traditionally do in a 5-day. Then it's going to be what happens in a GVDS and how it translates into virtual. There's a remote guide that Jake had out, so I may take from that a little bit, but not too much. It's pretty much what I know historically has happened here. The third layer is going to be my take on it, meaning like how I've seen it work out and some things you could consider in terms of kind of engaging. And then the 4th one is going to be kind of a feature facilitator model. So somebody like Ken or Benno, who has a particular way of doing it that corresponds to his professional brand. I'm going to integrate that engagement with them and say, look, this is something you can put that has your branding, your person. It can link to your stuff that you have, and it'll be something that people who are part of the event can take a look at, check out on their own time, and inquire outside of what the GVDS is. So in a way, it's providing value and giving back to the people that are part of this event, but bring it all into like a huge like training module that is now like on Podia, maybe Teachable, I'm not sure, but something that actually can be applied within the event and can promote other people for what they do.
That's fantastic. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, don't worry about not knowing enough. It just takes time and exposure to something, really. You hang out with baseball players, you're going to start to understand baseball. If you're in the minor leagues with, like, you know, soccer, eventually you're going to figure out how to balance a ball on your foot and be able to, like, you know, pass effectively.
Yeah, I don't know. I realize you're still live streaming, so maybe I should be careful about what I say. I realize that yeah.
I can stop the live stream. Nobody has to see it, so it's fine.
Yeah, why don't you stop the live stream?
All right. Everyone who's watching on YouTube, you can't figure out what we're talking about anymore. The main event's done. Thank you for tuning in. If you are still out there, Raul, yep, I see you there. And hopefully you take care, all right? And we'll see you next time when we have this again. And I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye. Not you, Christine, but the person who's there.
I realize I shouldn't be